times in my book it translates kinsman redeemer.
Yeah, goel. Even word goel.
So.
But a goel was, there was multiple ways of being a goel, a redeemer. You could redeem a person. If a person, you redeem their land, okay, you could redeem their land, and we talked about that. You could also redeem them, redeem the person, buy them back. So let's say I put myself out to, I owe Don, $50,000, and I say to him, I'm going to give you my land for 20 years before there's 20 years before the Yovel, the Jubilee. You have my land for 20 years, and you can have me for 7 to pay out my debt. Then somebody comes along and says, I want to be your redeemer. I have a rich relative, a rich uncle. He says, tell you what, I'm going to pay off your debt to Don, and you'll get your land back, and you won't have to serve him. So that's a goel, that's a redeemer. Also, if I were to be killed, I have the goel hadam, the redeemer of blood. They would go and chase the person who killed me and chase them back to a city of refuge and demand that there be a trial.
I'm thinking that this is a poetic foreshadowing of David and Lish.
It is, absolutely.
This is their family that started, here we have this whole being redeemed process going on.
Absolutely. It's like looking back, it's like looking in the family scrapbook and going, let's go back. We get a little bit, let's go back. Oh, you know what? Long time ago, when the judges judged, there was this little town of Bethlehem. And, there was this woman there by the name of, she came from Moab, and she's a widow woman, but she came back with her mother-in-law, and, 2 widow women, and, they happened to come to a field of a guy named Boaz, and this guy happened to be a righteous man. And what do you know? Take a righteous woman and a righteous man, and it's through this line that by the end of this, somebody puts the genealogy on this and said, this is about David.
And it doesn't go unnoticed that it happened in Bethlehem. It didn't happen in some places.
Right. Yeah, Micah 5:2, out of you, Bethlehem, will come the one. Right? Micah 5:2, and that's also quoted in one other prophetic text. So Micah, he sees this, he looks back at this text, and out of Bethlehem is going to come this Redeemer. Isaiah. Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Kind of interesting that if you look at this whole story, if it wasn't for Naomi's husband's lack of faith and trusting God, like Isaac did during the famine, he stayed in the land,
right,
trusting God to supply for them, the whole scenario would have never come about.
True. And maybe if he stays in the land, maybe God, by faith, maybe God allows he or one of his sons to be the progenitor of the Messianic line. Maybe. So what does that say to us? I think it says, when we have a lack of faith, we put ourselves on the sidelines by our lack of faith. But it also says this. If you look at this book, it says, a little bit of light in a place that's extremely dark is going to be like a beam. I mean, you take a guy like Boaz. Here's a guy, just a godly man. It seems like at every turn. And God says, hey, you know what? I'll pour the Messianic line through you. You're a godly man who wants to do what's right. To tell you how right he does it, here's a guy who doesn't even have to tell, he doesn't even have to tell that there's a guy ahead of him. Okay? But he does, and his kindness to Ruth, his kindness to Naomi, letting her glean, pulling it out for her. Everything he's doing to her, for her, is just, it's magnanimous. Yes.
To me, it looked like when you mentioned, okay, so if you're going to take and redeem her land, then you're going to get her with the son. In other words, you don't get the goods that come out.
Right.
That was a good. He probably knew that when he turned that guy off. So
yeah, that guy. And by the way, that first guy, he bypassed the blessing as well. He said, "I'm going to give you a chance to do what's right. You want to again, spirit of it, spirit. We're kind of pushing the borders on this, but that's okay. there's a spirit behind the commandments as well. Not just the letter. We have the letter, but there's also that spirit behind it that says, go beyond what the letter says and do even more. And we see that with Yeshua. Classic example of that. Matthew 17, last few verses. If you read the Exodus chapter 30, every male has to bring a half shekel. Nobody stopped to ask, hey, can I pay somebody else's half shekel? Yeah, sure. Long as it gets paid. Somebody can do it for you. Surrogate. The whole concept of a surrogate. That somebody steps in for you, or redeemer. Redeemer, surrogate, same idea. Same concept. Somebody can help you and do it for you. And that's just as good in many, many cases as if you had done it. As long as it gets done. And that's the spirit of the Torah, is to say, it doesn't always have to be same thing with the Nazirite vow. You got to pay the Nazirite vow. Paul says, they bring Paul in. There's 4 guys who've taken the vow. They did some bad planning. Can you pay the vow for them? Sure, I'll pay the vow. Surrogate, redeemer, spirit of Torah, finding ways to help others also be obedient and move things in a righteous direction. And the irony is, it only takes one person in a town like Beit. Here's one guy, and God says, hey man, and by the way, Naomi said, when she came back, she said, I went out empty, full, and I've come back empty. Now, Naomi helps Ruth to marry a man named Boaz. And Boaz has a child by the name of Obed. And Obed has a child by the name of Yeshai. And Yeshai has a child by the name of David. And David has a son, a greater son, named Yeshua the Messiah, Matthew. And anybody, all the spiritual children of Naomi, how full is she now?
Her cup runneth over.
Her cup runneth over. God says, not only, I'm not going to just fill your cup a little bit, you're going to be the spiritual descendant of untold millions. It's going to be so, it's like, you're just talking about Bethlehem. You're just thinking about Ruth. I'm thinking about the cosmos. I got a bigger plan I'm working here. They're the little speck in this whole thing, so to speak. But this descendant is not just about here, it's about everywhere.
We cannot box in God. I mean,
No.
We have an idea of, okay, Lord, if you just do this, if this would just happen, if this person would just, I'll set this up so they'll see God, and I'll do this, and that's the I instead of the Holy Spirit and God. We cannot box him in. We can't even imagine
Right.
the plans. Just be part of it.
Right. Yeah. He'll do his part. See, we do the physical part. They do the physical part. Boaz, just give a little food, kindness, compassion, just basic Torah. And then maybe even think a little bit outside that box. And God says, because you're a righteous man wanting to do a righteous thing, you'll be so full you can't even imagine. What's happening here is so incredible. Because David is going to be the descendant of, Yeshua's going to be the descendant of David. He's going to come to redeem the whole world. Not just redeem this field, and not just to redeem this man, but to redeem everybody on a scale that's so magnanimous you can't get your head wrapped around it.
And in the spirit of the Torah that he was, Yeshua is the spirit of the Torah.
Absolutely. All right, go with me to page 95. Stand with me if you will, please.